I've got the dog here. He's snoozing, but I wanted to show you how we are dog fooding our own product and really how we're building some really cool campaigns using our own internal first party data as opposed to the external third party data that I'm typically showing in these videos. So you'll see here, I'm building a campaign to reach out to existing Lavender users. And so what we've done here is we've taken a report within Salesforce, and I ran some additional enrichments and segmentations on them to understand who sits in a above the line or a buying position within a company. And so I pulled a sample set of those leads to really start to test this campaign to see if it has legs. So I got those email addresses, and then I gave the same context that I give all my campaigns. Context on Aura. Um, on this campaign, I probably need to hone in the role and department filter. Not everyone who installs Lavender is in sales. And so, even just this filter alone, I've had to tweak a couple times just to make sure I'm weeding out folks that aren't necessarily in sales, which is going to be where Aura is much more relevant for them. You can see here, we've got some value props that I've used for a few campaigns. And then in instructions, I gave it a few key things. Before I get into the instructions, I want to show you the emails. I'm going to show you how I built the controls within the campaign to create these emails. So you can see here, I've got Hussein, and there's some overall reasoning behind the email. I just want to mainly show you the emails themselves. So I'll zoom in here. So, hi, given you've used Lavender before, wanted to share Aura with you. IT consulting clients expect personalized outreach that speaks to the specific tech needs and business goals we can craft on their tech stack, industry priorities. Would that help you reach more IT service firms? Right. So you can see we're using a couple of things to personalize that email. One being the fact that they've used Lavender before, and that wanted to introduce them to Aura. Then the other piece, really honing in on who they sell to and some of the challenges they might have. Then the follow up is extremely tailored. So it's just a bump email. Hey, given you've used Lavender before, wasn't sure if you'd seen Aura yet. Has your team looked into AI prospecting yet? So very simple bump to follow up to that email, and then ends out with a just a simple breakup email that tends to work well for us. So I can showcase this across a few different emails. Workmate Mavs, use a couple previews here. Okay, so this team is already building AI products. This will be interesting to see how Aura does with this information. David, given you've used Lavender before, wanted to share Aura. So you can see there's some consistency in the messaging there. Since you're building AI assistants to handle scheduling and calendar tasks, I thought you'd be interested in how Aura does personalized outbound. AI companies interested in AI, that makes sense. Or analyzes what works in your messaging, replicates it at scale, letting your sellers focus on high value combos. Cool. Okay, so in this case, it didn't necessarily know how to tie in any data that it's going to go pull to make some relevant piece. So it defaulted to just talking about the value of the product, which is actually what I would have wanted it to do. And then the same follow-up. So I've got that pretty much hard-coded based on the instructions I've given it. And then the follow-up again, it's set up the way I want it to be set up. Okay, let's look at one more. Cora went on. Okay, cool. So this one has some additional third-party data. So I'll show you here how it uses that, if it uses that. Okay, so, it does. Perfect. Okay, hi, Hillary Salcoro just launched the Compass program to enable partners of all sizes. Given you've used Lavender before, I wanted to share how Aura can help. And then this drives me nuts with so many of these AI tools. It doesn't actually connect the dots back together. So I'm really happy to see Aura creates personalized outreach to partners based on industry, tech stack, target market. How are you planning to reach new partners? Okay, so it's logical. That's exactly what I would want it to do with this email. And then again, you can see this like more hard-coded style for the follow-ups. This is truly because I've set that in the instructions. So, okay, let me show you how I set up the instructions to make it do this. And so you can see here, there's a couple pieces that make this really work well. One, I set it up with context. And I do this with any first party data campaign that I'm going to run. So when I'm running a first party data campaign, the big thing that I'm trying to get it to do is to use that first party context as personalization. If it wouldn't be useful as personalization, then why am I including it? Obviously, I can include it, and Aura can pick and choose when to use it. But for these types of campaigns, I want a little bit more control. So I give Aura the context of how I want it to talk about this. And I even give it an example. And I've found that this like way of like setting it up, hey, an example that you shouldn't copy, but could provide some useful building blocks. Having downloaded Lavender's coach in the past, I wanted to see if you've seen our new prospecting Aura agent. And so I talk to Aura like I would talk to a sales rep, right? Hey, this is how I want you to start the email for this campaign. Then there's a hard code right here where I say, hey, in the first follow-up email, only say, given you've used Lavender before, wasn't sure if you'd seen, blah, blah, blah. You've seen the email here, right? It's hard coded. And then in the second follow-up email, don't surface the trigger. Here's all I want you to do, and try to see if you can get pointed in the right direction. The other piece is, hey, this is what I want the subject line to look like. So there's some like key pieces there that I'm pulling in. There's some additional things that I've done here. Just giving further instruction. Hey, this is what the focus of the email is. I want them to walk away understanding exactly how it's going to personalize to their prospects. But you can see here, and again, I use things like engineers are picky when receiving inbound or outbound, or it can do things like X, Y, and Z to create custom engineers they'd be more likely to respond to. So that thinking there is helping the agent understand what I am looking for as it goes and writes these emails. You can see here, it's pretty simple. Now, there's some like standard stuff that I always tell my Aura agents, like, hey, do not say that Aura can be used for recruiting and candidate outreach. That is for legal reasons. So I don't want to have it do that. And then I have some additional pieces in here to deprioritize different types of external research in the event that it really wanted to prioritize. But one of the things I've also done is disable this trigger requirement. So I'll scroll down a little bit. I realize I'm zoomed in. So I can disable this trigger requirement. And when I do that, it puts less emphasis on external triggers. This is one of my favorite tools for, say, reaching out to groups where they don't necessarily have a rich data footprint. But I also really like it when I'm trying to get the agent to prioritize the first party context that I've given it, right? So first party context in this case is their use of Lavender before. It could be downloading an asset. Example being we have a cold email course. If you go to levelup.lavender.ai, you can check that out. 2 hours of free content. And so like that content, great feeder for us to reach out to folks, right? So we have these first party assets. And so I just give the agent context like I would a sales rep, which is, hey, this group of people who are in a Salesforce report downloaded that piece of content. And you can see the agent then knows how to take that information and run with it just like an employee would. Now, I like these emails. That's why I'm showing them to you. So I go to approve and continue. And then, as I've mentioned in some other videos that I've done, I personally love pushing to my drafts folder. So what I will then do is launch the campaign, and those emails push to my Gmail drafts. Cool. So now that the campaign is live, you can see that as I clicked on push emails to my Gmail draft, they showed up right here within my Gmail draft. And so now I can review each individual email, make a few tweaks, and hit send as they look good to go. And so in this case, I'll use Lavender before, or it helps write cold emails that tech buyers open, Python experts, so a little piece of personalization there, or grabs key details like tech stacks and use cases to craft relevant messaging. Want to see how we can we help sales team send targeted outreach without manual. Looks great. Cool. So I'm gonna hit send, and there it is. Hit send. Hopefully this video gives you a really good feel for A, how we're dogfooding our own product, but B, exactly how you can weave first-party context in with this third-party context that Aura is going to bring to the table to create some really cool, unique one-to-one campaigns that really shine. So if you found this video helpful, by all means, check out the product. Let me know if you have any ideas for first-party data that you'd want to pass to Aura, how you might want to use that. Because the platform is extremely flexible and there's a lot of cool things you can do with it. There's a lot of cool places you can send the emails, and hope this video is helpful.